Well, speaking of trustable, our next guest, Shawn Williamson, is an amazing guy who's done a lot of stuff in environmental work and a lot of great stuff in the community to help people understand a lot more about the environment and, the way we sort of react with when we get rid of recycling, garbage, etc. Joining us now is Shawn Williamson from the Boleyn Group. And Shawn, thank you for joining us yet again.
Okay. Thank you. Of course, folks noted for the small amount of waste you've produced in your family, right? The story is
Or not
produced. I mean, what was it, 1 or 2 bags of garbage in a full year?
We're actually tracking for 2010 just a little under half a bag.
That is unbelievable. You're a star in the Durham region. I don't think you have a bag of 10 bags. I know. And the key to that, and the secret to doing that is?
Well, there's a lot of things that go into it,
Right.
but the simplest way to remember it is the 3 R's: reduce, reuse, recycle. And I guess the focus is on reduce. That you get more bang from the buck from reducing the packaging that you're buying and everything like that than anything else. The recycle is what you do after all those other things are done. Right. So a lot of people, oh yeah, we're a green family, we recycle. It's like, well, that's great, but that's kind of like, probably a chef would say, you got to do a lot of other preparation before you can just serve the meal, sort of thing.
And you're so right to say, I'm sorry to use that chef analogy, but in the kitchen, if you're running a proper business, you use everything.
Yeah,
Everything.
Yeah, well, it's, the biomimicry is a term where, you try and emulate nature. And the old expression of Native North Americans that, when they would actually, take down a buffalo, they would, number one, thank the buffalo for, feeding us, but then they would do honor to the buffalo by using absolutely everything in it, right down to the hooves, you name it, no waste.
As Canadians or Durhamites, people in Durham region, are we to the buffalo, if you will?
Well, one of the things that I thought we talked about today is the issue of climate change, particularly as we get into the winter months and, people are heating more and everything like that. Some stats, in terms of carbon emissions, Canada as a country is number 7 in the world.
Wow.
That's not great considering how small our population. On a per capita basis, we're number 3. Which is even worse. We're putting out a lot of carbon, and we're causing problems even outside of our shores. And I guess the other thing.
So the world is looking at us as a natural, beautiful country with all this wilderness and trees, and we don't really live up to that, deserve that right, do we?
When just with all that bounty, all that things that we've taken for granted, is that we're not being efficient with the use of all of our materials. Whereas a lot of European countries in particular, they're actually slowing down their carbon emissions. Canada is speeding up. So if it's a race and we're told to, slow down, folks, we're going too fast. Right. Dr. Suzuki uses the analogy of it's a race and we're driving right for a brick wall. In fact, we're not slowing down. Some of the countries aren't turning yet, but at least they're slowing down. We're actually, throwing the gas to it.
I find that so hard to believe with all the PSAs out there, and everybody knows about it now. Everybody's conscious of it, or at least has heard about it, but still not much progression.
Well, it's a big issue, and I think some people are saying, well, what's the solution? Well, there is no one solution. There's the old expression of the silver bullet or silver buckshot. If we think that something is going to be invented next year that'll solve all of our problems,
obviously not.
It's probably not going to happen.
Right.
But there's a lot of little things that can be done, and there's a lot of little things that shouldn't be done. That can make a change.
Shouldn't, for one, that's important for us to the shouldn'ts.
Yeah, are we doing things that we think are good but they're not?
Oh, well, and there's the expression, the law of unintended consequences, where you've got the best intentions at heart, but in fact, when you kind of do the math, you're even worse off than what you're doing right now. Things like biofuels, debatable. It's a good practice.
I'll call Willie Nelson.
Well, and it's perhaps a good staging ground for future things.
Okay.
But current biofuels right now, I don't claim to be a chemist or a scientist or anything like that. But from what I've read, a lot of times more energy goes into the production of the corn that then gets processed into a biofuel than is actually in the fuel itself. So you're using, say 1+ liters of oil to create 1 liter of oil.
Isn't that interesting? Because there was a major U.S. company, we all know the company, that was looking into changing all their trucks to that. And it's sort of gone a little bit away from that talk right now.
Yeah.
Now, there are things where, you know, biofuel, when it does burn off cleaner. So if it's used, like, say, in a downtown environment, you know, it is a cleaner burning fuel. So maybe, but just straight up, you know, hey, if we could just replace all of our, all the gas we use with biofuel.
Yeah.
At
Not
current,
the way to go.
Well,
No
at current
kidding.
standards. Now, that's not to say you shouldn't continue investing in the technology and the research and everything like that.
Right.
Maybe they'll come up. Algae, they've been talking about that as a potential
Wouldn't that
source of
be something?
biofuel. That in fact you could take the carbon out of a plant, and that carbon will actually help the algae grow, and then the algae is special oily algae that you press in and you make a biofuel. It's got tremendous potential.
Yeah, but again, how much energy will that take to produce?
You know, you got to think, if I were betting my money on it right now, I'm going to bet on algae to beat out corn. Because
Really?
No kidding.
corn's, you know, it's corn. It's for eating and it's for popcorn. Algae is, you know, it's everywhere. Algae feeds, you know, all the oceans of the world. And, you know, the oceans are much more vast and much more efficient system.
Fascinating. Other things we should be avoiding.
Well,
We
you
got
know,
a picture of you here.
oh,
That's random. Hi.
yeah,
There's
actually,
Shawn at
so
home.
there's that's just a picture of my car, and I actually call it, that's my sport utility vehicle shot. Because basically, you know, although it's a little four-seater car, with the kayak
It
on the
does it
top and
all.
the mountain on the back, I'm covering more ground in southern Ontario than any SUV will.
Love it.
And in fact, that vehicle that we bought recently, one, it's more fuel efficient, so there's some advice, you know, when you buy your car the next time, buy a smaller car.
Right.
But we also had a special unit installed from a company in Whitby called Global Emissions.
Right.
And it basically removes 99% of all the harmful smog-forming emissions from my car.
No way. How much did that cost?
You know, it costs a little bit of money, and it isn't the all-in-one solution. So,
Right.
you know, if everybody in the world
But it
were to
certainly
change
helps.
over
It's a
that,
step in that
Sure.
direction.
you know, for me, I did the math, and I was like, yeah, I could buy a hybrid, but I don't drive my car enough. And that's kind of the catch-22.
Right.
When you conserve, the payback of saving is longer. So in fact, you know, follow the money, you know, that Woodward and Bernstein advice. You know, conservation is always the best way to go. So the best thing to do, you know, to save that gallon or that barrel of oil is to not, you know, dig it up or not have a need for it in the first place. So anyway, that car, you know, it's just a regular car, but it is actually putting out very little emissions as I go to and fro.
With just a few seconds left till we close our interview with you, Shawn, there's going to be a movie screening, which you're going to be a part of? Or are you going to be there?
Actually, no,
or
I'm
Okay,
going.
you
I'm
just
looking
wanted
forward to
see.
seeing it.
Okay,
So
good.
it's a movie. It's called The Antarctic Challenge. I don't know if this is on screen. It's
It'll be
Friday,
on our
November
website.
5th at 7 p.m. and I believe it's at St. Mark's United in Whitby. And the actual producer, film
Will be there.
will be there and
Very
answering
neat.
questions. And you know, we're an Arctic nation, and it's going to get even more Arctic. What's going on down there
Yeah.
is going to be seen
We
up
got to
here.
close it up. Sorry,
Great.
Shawn.
Thank
We'll
you
do
so
more
much.
after that.